the Baloch rebels have attacked at least 12 areas in Balochistan, and some fresh visuals show that Baloch rebels have taken control of Quetta. We'll get you more at 7:30 on Trending Tonight with B. Rakshita.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Thank you for joining us on This Is Exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. There was the suicide of a businessman, which is the biggest headline from Karnataka. Not just Karnataka, but even in Kerala, because this man in the picture, his name is CJ Roy. He's a very big businessman, and while he was being raided by the income tax, committed suicide. He turned the gun on himself during the raid. Here are the headlines. We have some more details on the story. Here are the headlines this Saturday evening. Real estate tycoon CJ Roy commits suicide in his Bengaluru office. Family claims that he was being harassed by the income tax department. Republic accesses details of a letter by a DGCA whistleblower, someone working within the DGCA. The letter mentions of unspoken pressure. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on a two-day campaign visit to Bengal takes on Mamata Banerjee government for using infiltrators as a vote bank. US government shuts down after Congress fails to pass the budget for 2026. Well, one of the biggest headlines, ladies and gentlemen, is the sudden death of a businessman. He ran a group called the Confident Group. He was the founder and chairman. His name is CJ Roy. A 57-year-old business tycoon, claims to have close to 200 projects that he's carried out, valued at over $1 billion. And he was being raided by the income tax. Committed suicide during the income tax raid. His family has claimed, and those who worked with him claimed, that he was being harassed by the income tax department. And there are details emerging that talk about the final few moments before he committed suicide. He went into a room. The family claims that he went into a room while income tax raids were ongoing for almost 3 days, is what CJ Roy's brother has written in a letter, saying that this man was under a lot of pressure from the income tax department. These are details that have been mentioned in writing by the family of CJ Roy, saying he did not explain what the pressure was, but there was some sort of pressure. And that the family last spoke to him at 10:40 a.m. The brother spoke to Republic. Take a listen.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು 10:40 ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 2 ಸತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅಷ್ಟು ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಿಲ್ಲ.
ಸರ್ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರ ಹರಾಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಆ ಥರ ಏನಾದ್ರು IT ಆಫೀಸರ್
IT ಆಫೀಸರ್ಸ್ ಹರಾಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ 3 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, 1 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. 1 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೌದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 3ನೇ ತಾರೀಕಿಂದ 6ನೇ ತಾರೀಕುವರೆಗೆ ಇದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಗ ಏನು ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ಯಾರವರು ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಸಾದ್ ಅಂತ IRS ಅಡಿಷನಲ್ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಕೊಚ್ಚಿ ಅವರಿದ್ದರು. ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಏನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಆಯಿತು. ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ಹೋಗೋ ಮುಂಚೆ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ ಥ್ರೆಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಾಲ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಥ್ರೆಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎನಿಮೀಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay, so Sri Lakshmi is joining us live now. Sri Lakshmi, what more do we know? Because it is also now becoming, the family claims harassment. There seems to be a political fight that's breaking out between the state government and the centre. They're claiming harassment. What are the details we know about the circumstances under which he committed suicide?
Well, as you rightly pointed out, now it has become a political, a point for political fight. But our sources are talking about speculations which are doing round that was there an involvement of a politician in this case, because it is said that we are getting news from our sources that he used to fund Kerala elections. He used to fund for few leaders in Kerala for elections. And we can also note that there are elections coming up in April in Kerala. And there were a lot many preparations going on for that also. It is said that was he there under any kind of pressure during that income tax raid? Because income tax raids are not new to him. He has earlier also dealt with such situation. After all, he runs a 8,300 crores business. And this kind of challenges are not new to him. That might not be the reason. The pressure by the income tax people, was that the reason, or anything else beyond that was the big question. Was there a politician who had invested in this confident group there is the big question. And if so, who is he? It is, the speculations are doing round that a major politician, an influential politician from Karnataka who has links with Kerala, who has probably origin in Kerala, has also involved. It's just a speculation, not yet confirmed, but people are talking about it. Was he, this CJ Roy, before committing suicide, he enters into his cabin, takes his pistol. It is said that it was suicide. But before that, he had made some phone calls. Was it to that politician who had invested huge amount of money? Is a speculation doing rounds. If so, who is that politician? Was there any life threat from that strong politician to the CJ Roy not to disclose his name? On one hand, it is said that the IT officials were forcing CJ Roy to talk about this huge funding and investment by this politician. On the other hand, was there a threat by this politician as well to not to disclose his name? If so, if he does, then he will lose his life. Was that the threat? And was there a locker in which these documents, related documents, wherein this politician's name was there? And was this IT officials forcing him to open the documents? Was that the situation? Is the speculation doing rounds now? And anyway, Karnataka government has formed an SIT to probe the whole case. Dr. G. Parmeshwara has announced a team of police officials supervised by IPS Joint Commissioner Vamshi Krishna. It is for us to wait and watch how this investigation goes on. Niranjan.
Okay, thank you for that. Keeping a close track on that story, let's move on now to the other big story we are tracking here on Republic. On this is exclusive. Last night we accessed an explosive whistleblower note. A note written by someone who works within the DGCA, an official, an employee of DGCA, who is exposing the rot within DGCA, talking about how some airlines are getting special treatment. Let's tell you what this officer said. He said he's a current serving DGCA official, presently posted in DGCA, and he spoke about how internal processes within DGCA were no longer sufficient, and that He needed to address seriousness of recent safety violations by Air India especially. And he also mentioned how there was an over-accommodative stance, quote-unquote, taken towards the airline in a letter that was written. And these are details that were put out by Republic, and so far there is no response whatsoever. In fact, he also writes in that letter that on a specific incident of a flight that did not have an ARC or an airworthiness certificate, and despite not being fit to fly, that flight was allowed to fly by Air India officials, despite it being known by everyone in the system. Let me go across to Mr. Venkateshwar Rao, who's joining us on the broadcast, because in this, last night we spoke about how there is a strong unspoken pressure within sections of DGCA and ministry. He mentions DGCA and ministry in that letter, Venkateshwar Rao. He mentions how there is an attempt to manage matters quietly rather than initiate action. Now, these are complaints that have been there for many years now, and despite that, there seems to be no change within the DGCA. Why is that?
Evening, Niranjan. You see, why is that? Indian polity is the answer to it. You can complain, you can do. There is no corrective action. There's a quid pro quo. It's either gratuities, either in cash or in kind. A lot of things do happen. Like, I have been exposing this from 2008. In fact, in 2019, the ex-Chief Justice, Justice Gawai, had told Air India and DGCA to file the number of dispensations taken. In that order also, they were told once the rules are in place, no dispensation can be given. Was it followed? Not at all. You issued a new car. Again, airlines came. They said, we can't follow it. You kept quiet. Had the Indigo fiasco not taken place, none of us would have known the quid pro quo that exists between the airlines, whether it is Air India, whether it is Indigo or any other airline for that matter, between them, the DGC officers, the Ministry of Civil Aviation. And I'm sure the minister is also in the know, but I don't know whether I can give him the benefit of the doubt, because many messages have been sent to him. You need to pull up your socks on the flight safety issue at least. Like today, if you see the High Court, DGCA says, oh, we are not tinkering with the rest period. We are not on the rest period alone. We are on the FDTL. We are on the night landings. We are on many issues in the car that are not being followed. So you see, there is a quid pro quo. I have paid a heavy price. That gentleman wrote a secret letter. I wrote an open letter to DGCA. In fact, Bombay High Court had warned me that if I don't report violations, I'll be held liable. But I still got fired by Air India. But it's okay. We'll fight it. I've got no issues with that. But you open your mouth, you're putting your neck in the noose. And I'm very worried for this gentleman from the DGC who's written that letter, because these people will, it is like, you have scorned the minister. There'll be, the investigation will go for a cover-up on that letter and not act on that letter by itself, Niranjan.
He speaks about, the specifics of incidents. So people can't really dismiss that. And we have been reporting how there have been violations after violations by some of these big airlines, duopoly, more specifically, right? FDTL, they've got their way. DGCA has been questioned even by the court for their contradictions, constantly changing stands, for confusion in their stand. And then you have the Air India fiasco where so many, we've lost count of the number of violations that have taken place. So all of these are facts in the public domain.
Niranjan, I can put a figure to it. 1 lakh violations and counting. And I'm making this statement with full responsibility, Niranjan. I get calls every day because I'm the one who's speaking out about this. There are, flights that are being operated. DGC uses this term minimum crew. There is nothing called minimum crew. It is created to help the airline. Can you imagine DGCA says that a passenger seated on the emergency exit is going to take care of the rest of the 200 passengers on board the aircraft? Imagine, that is how low the DGCA has gone. It's an emergency exit, for God's sake. It has to be manned by a trained personnel. You just come to a passenger seated in the exit row and say, sir, you know, in case of an emergency, you look out of the window. If you can go through, pull this, pull that. Are you trying to tell me that an ordinary passenger is going to do all this when his own life is at threat? The crew are trained for something, Niranjan, and you're putting the crew down. The crew is trained to evacuate that aircraft in 90 seconds with half the number of doors available during an emergency. Tell me, will a passenger open that door? He will be, with fright, he'll freeze with fright. They are putting people's lives in danger with this minimum crew and no crew, and all. These is all jargon created only to help airlines. And this will continue, Niranjan. You can keep exposing because you are dealing with unscrupulous officers, unscrupulous lawyers. You see, hoodwinking the court. Who hoodwinks the courts? It is the lawyers. They are told the truth and the lawyer says, no, we'll take it this way so this doesn't get exposed. So the lawyers are, because like I said, when the Chief Justice passed the order, the advocate for the DGCA was the same, but she suppressed it before the single bench. She suppressed it before this present division bench also. So what are you expecting from these people? Safety is the last concern of the airline. Safety is the last concern of DGCA, and safety is the last concern of the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Their only concern is how much packets we can make, and that's it, period.
Thank you for joining us. I can ask you a short question. Do you think there will be a purge, a change, if at all? Because you see, it's been less than 10 months. We've had several crashes in the last 10 months. Right? Will there be a change finally?
It would only God has to come down now to change the system. The humans who are handling the system are incorrigible. You will not be able to change it. It is just that you remove one, the other walks in. The same thing. Nothing will change. You've been covering it for so long. You honestly tell me, have you seen any change in the attitude of the DGCA? It won't happen because the mindset is made up. The polity is also responsible for it. But then that's the system. We have to fight, go to court. Court takes years. The DGCA does what it wants to do, and then you're left. That's it.
On the show. Thank you for. Yeah, okay. Complete your point. I'll complete your point, and then I'll move on to the next story. Complete.
Sad state of affairs, Niranjan. Yeah. I and you can keep doing programs till the cows come home. It makes no difference. It's like pouring water on a duck's back. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But then somebody needs to do it, and we need to do it. That's all I can say. And I thank you very much for exposing all this. And I'm happy that I'm able to assist you. And let me tell you, Niranjan, every statement I have made, I have documents for it.
Yes. I'm getting in some breaking news right now. Sir. I'll have to thank you at this point. I'm going across to the breaking coming in. So let me go across to that. We have budget tomorrow, and we have some breaking news. My colleague Abhishek is getting us some details right now of what is expected in the budget presentation. In fact, what you can expect tomorrow while we are on this exclusive, some details coming in. Part B of the budget speech will place strong emphasis on both short-term and long-term goals. That is Part B of the budget. One of the key takeaways we are hearing will be in Part B of the budget speech, which will focus on long-term goals. Short and long-term goals. Now, there are some more details. It's going to be unique in many ways, we are being told. My colleague Abhishek, getting in some details of what we can expect. Part B of the budget speech will reflect India's economic vision, priorities as we enter the second quarter of the century. Part B of the budget speech will also offer the roadmap for showcasing India's local strengths at the global stage. It will also showcase India's current strengths and future potential. Part B of the budget speech is likely to draw significant attention from economists, experts in India and around the world. Well, that's a big statement being made. In fact, sources saying that Part B of the budget speech is likely to draw significant attention from economists and experts and people around the world. So we are expecting some big statements to be made in Part B of the speech tomorrow. So probably the fact that they've mentioned that it could gather attention from economists and experts in India and around the world, it's safe to say that Part B could be globally headline grabbing. This is what we know so far. Pranav is joining me live. Pranav, very interesting. We're getting in some insights. Part B. Now, there is a lot of emphasis being put on Part B, saying that this is going to be a very unique budget, very different from what has happened in the last 75 years. If you can give us more details of what Part B is usually entails so far and why this is going to be big perhaps tomorrow.
Well, basically, this is, the important part of Part B is that it focuses on the taxation proposals, changes in direct taxes, indirect taxes, revenue-raising measures. So, while the Part A of budget gives the big picture vision, Part B normally gives who pays and how much tax is actually paid. So she will primarily be talking about the Part B will necessarily be the part that affects salaried class, middle-income household, corporates and MSMEs, importers, exporters. So these are, she's primarily going to be talking about where the revenue comes from and who is, the directly affected individuals. That is what is expected in Part B.
Okay, thank you for joining us with those inputs, Pranav. Getting in more details of what is expected tomorrow. Part B expected to be in great detail, very unique, we are hearing. From what sources are sharing with Republic, very unique from all the budgets that have come about in the last 75 years. And that the earlier budget speeches typically had a lot of detail in Part A, while Part B only consisted of a few announcements. But this time the Finance Minister expected to speak in great detail in Part B. Part B of the budget speech will place strong emphasis on both short-term, long-term goals. Part B of the budget speech will reflect India's economic vision and priorities as we enter the second quarter of the century. Part B of the budget speech will also offer roadmap for showcasing India's local strengths at the global stage, will showcase India's current strengths and future potential. Interesting budget lined up tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, Republic will be live starting 7 a.m. And that's it on this edition of This Is Exclusive. We're taking a break now. We will be back with all the headlines trending coming up next. Stay tuned.
Shocking revelations have been made in the fresh release of the Epstein files. From Elon Musk to Bill Gates to several other big names have made it to the list of those who have been connected with Jeffrey Epstein. Even Zohran Mamdani's mother and filmmaker Meera Nair's name has surfaced. We'll also get you what's happening as far as the PCB, Pakistan Cricket Board, is concerned. It's delaying its confirmation while it is getting trolled as well for its boycott drama, rather create a suspense drama. We'll also get you the latest from Balochistan. Operation Head Off, as the Baloch rebels have attacked at least 12 areas in Balochistan, and some fresh visuals show that